Green Libyan Army centralized under Muammar Gaddafi. Volunteers and conscripts. 780,000 active personnel that time. Participated in the Libyan-Chadian War, the Uganda-Tanzanian War and the Libyan Civil War. We will see the qualities of the army or just overall data. Corrections are opened in the comments section. First, paramilitary units. There were 3 paramilitary units under the Libyan Jamahiryan Armed Forces. The Revolutionary Guards Corps. Only after the 1980s they were with the armed forces as an ideology indoctrination and a monitoring unit. They were well equipped with T-62s, Soviet-made SCUs and others. Handpicked personnel too. The commander was Hassan al-Kabir al-Gaddafi. And they were actually the Government Protection Unit. The other paramilitary unit was the Islamic Pan-African Legion. Apparently they were mercenaries all across from Sudan, Egypt, Tunisia, Mali and Chad. With a couple of Muslim West Africans too. With 7,000 personnel and training from experienced Syrian and Palestinians, some were reportedly deployed to the Chadian conflict. With 1 infantry, armored and paratroop brigade. Gaddafi's goal was to also create a similar unit and expand to millions and prepare for the Great Arab Battle, uniting Arab. That was a plan to create an Arab Legion. Unfortunately for them there were no signs such a unit existed. Even when the press claimed plans were being made. The last one is the People's Militia. Estimation of 45,000 personnel being led by Major Kawaldi al-Hamidi. Equipped with regular weapons, uniforms and vehicles too. Not to mention they were creating an airborne operation capability. They were also trained weekly on how to use weapons and how to use signal systems. Territorial defense is their main objective. They were also under local commanders. Unfortunately, some claimed that local commanders did not respond to supervisions and trainings well. Even some militia units were sent to help Idi Amin in the Tanzanian-Uganda war. Ill-equipped and not properly informed, they got heavy losses. For the regular armed forces, it has 50,000 personnel in total. 11 border defense and 4 security zones, 1 regime security brigade, 10 tank battalions, 10 mechanized infantry battalions, 18 infantry battalions, 6 commando battalions, 22 artillery battalions, 4 SSM brigades, and 7 air defense artillery battalions. A notable unit was the Qamis Brigade, or the 32nd, one of the regime protector unit other than the Revolutionary Guard Corps, led by Muammar Gaddafi's son Qamis Gaddafi. An elite unit composed of 10,000 personnel, supposedly well-trained and equipped. But a U.S. official claimed they were not as skilled as expected. Some weapon shipments for the Qamis Brigade were even cancelled. During the Libyan Civil War they were deployed to the front as many regular units deserted, as the Qamis Brigade is directly loyal to Muammar Gaddafi. The weapons were not cutting edge and they had problems like fuel shortages, though some claimed they were still well equipped. With some accounts claiming they fought and engaged well in the conflict, it is unknown who led the remnants of the Qamis Brigade or the 32nd Brigade, presumably disbanded. Meanwhile, the Libyan Air Force had many Soviet-made or series jets that time, such as Mikoyan Gurevich MiG-21s and some Tupolev Tu-22s. Only after the Civil War their air force got decimated by coalition forces. Air defense systems were losing quality too over time. For the Navy they had around 8,000 personnel in total. Most of the vessels were from Europe, mostly from the Soviet Union. Frigates, corvettes, submarines, fast attack crafts and minesweepers were mostly in the arsenal of their navy. They also had a couple of submarines. Unfortunately for them, many ports holding these vessels were hit and sunk by coalition strikes. Some in an attempt to prevent the Libyan Navy from mining Misrata's harbor. During the Civil War it is claimed that the Libyan Navy were supposedly deployed to counter the rebels, but Libya countered the claims. They did not deploy them, as if they set sail they would be targets for NATO. They were warned prior, proclaimed. As for now, we already looked over paramilitary units, Army, Navy and Air Force. How did they do in the Civil War?
The Air Force is said to be made up of 18,000 personnel, more than 200 fighter aircraft and 35 attack helicopters. But 3 aircraft have already been lost in the current unrest, and the airworthiness of the remaining jets has been questioned. The Navy boasts 8,000 personnel and 2 submarines, but Western military analysts believe that the subs have long been abandoned. The Libyan army claims to have 50,000 soldiers, more than 2,200 battle tanks and 945 armoured personnel carriers. But military analysts believe that years of sanctions and overall neglect have rendered much of the army's equipment useless.
No matter how much coup-proof the army was, even with loyalists and paramilitary units the army lacked quality. Even in the Libyan-Chadian war it proved that the army was not prepared for large wars. Furthermore, coup-proofing measures weakened the army. It may be coup-proof but it was not desertion-proof. So they must rely on loyalists and paramilitary units. Maybe the army is not enough, so who can help? Should be them.
They say they've been training for weeks to defend their homes. They are a self-styled women's militia, practicing weapon drills in a medical institute's courtyard in the town of Garian.
تنصر الله ينصركم ويثبت أقدامكم في هذه الأيام العصيبة التي تمر بها بلادنا الآمنة المسلمة وتكالب فيها الصليبيين والعملاء عباد الصلبان في الداخل.
Did these fighters and militias did the heavy fighting? Were they more loyal to the Jamahiryan? But it is seen in many news networks and footages that they participated in many battles. But unfortunately things must come to an end as Gaddafi was later dead. Army disintegrated. There were reports of remaining resistance by Green loyalists, but it may be sporadic. Until today it is unknown if any fierce Green partisans remains in Libya.